Welcome to another My Outlander Purgatory recap. This week, we continue our Season 5 coverage with a recap of Episode 511, Journeycake. Ready? Then pour yourself a wee dram, settle in, and let's do this. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
I'm not eating.
I am.
And I'm Tracey.
And I'm Carol.
And we are My
Outlander
Purgatory.
.com, and here come the applause you've been doing for 2 years.
Yes.
I knew that. I did know that.
You, no, it was so funny because, like, literally you started watching this last week's episode, or recap, like, that night. And I was like, oh, clearly Carol feels bad.
No, you want to hear the weird thing? Whenever I watch our recaps, I get in, like, the first 5-10 minutes, and then I'm like, all right, I got to do something. I don't know. But, like, I always watch that. So I'm like, I know there's applause. Like, I don't know. Come on. I blame it on this.
So what is this? What are you drinking tonight?
Okay, you guys, my girlfriend's turned me on to skinny margaritas.
We talked about that last week, although I might have cut it out because I cut out, like, so much.
Yeah, all right, we are going to talk fast tonight. Okay. Skinny margaritas, it's truly just that 1-800 or something margarita, a little triple sec, and a bunch of lemon lime seltzer, and a lime. And here's the little secret. You have to use your lime around the glass to put your salt on. You have to.
Tell a little more about it.
Guys, all of this salt, what am I kidding? Hi, what do I think? I'm 22? All of this salt, like, by the time I'm done, my friend Beth says, oh my God, I'm going to end up with sausage toes. Okay? Like, you look down and the indent from your socks, not that I have any on right now, but is like this thing. It's going to be awful. It's going to be really, really bad tonight because I've already had one of these. My new thing is that I watch Outlander before we, right before. Y'all have seen me do my squirrel. Okay, so it's fresh in my mind if I watch it right before. I don't know why I didn't think of this 5 seasons ago.
Well, it's also your old thing because I'm telling you can't do it anymore.
Tracey, I love it. I have so much to say, and I'm so fired up.
No, because it adds time to what Carol has to prepare for. So
I don't care.
We end up being late.
We're going to zip through this stuff and talk about the show. You guys, hi. PBJ on crackers.
Can I talk about my drink?
I would love to know. I've asked you 3 times.
Well, this is what I'm drinking tonight.
Woo! What's that?
Can anyone guess what this is? It's Nana's Quarantini. Now, who has seen...
Look at it. Nana's Quarantini. Nana?
Have you seen the thing about Nana's Quarantini? It's a big thing.
Oh, I thought it was like Patsy's. Pat's ours.
No. Pat's R, thank you, does not know from Nana's Quarantini. If it was Nana's Bad Merlot, that would be a different story. Or Nana's Burgundy, Nana's Robert Mondavi Burgundy. That would be what we would do.
Carlo Rossi, Tracy. Carlo Rossi.
Okay. So Nana's Quarantini was some kid, like, on his TikTok, did a TikTok of his grandma, of his Nana, making this Quarantini. And it went viral because it's adorable AF. And now, the other part of it that's important is backtracking. Hopefully you saw, and if you did not see it, you need to look it up, the video of Stanley Tucci making a negroni for his wife.
Who's his sister-in-law?
Well, that's where this goes. His sister-in-law is Emily Blunt, which makes his brother-in-law John Krasinski, which means that he was a guest on Some Good News last week when they did the Cooking at Home segment. And Stanley Tucci did a segment on Some Good News where he made Nana's Quarantini.
I can't believe it. I did not know that. I was just looking him up. I started probably with John Krasinski, who I have the sickest crush on. I love them. I love him. I love her. I love their whole family unit. I love that they do movies together. Love them. And I love his 80s prom.
You guys, because Droughtlander by the time you guys are watching this, Droughtlander starts in 9 days. 9 days and counting, you guys. So, the first thing you need to do during Droughtlander, because this pandemic is still going to be going on, is Google Stanley Tucci Negroni. And it will ease the pain. It'll ease the pain, trust me. But this Nana Quarantini is supposed to be vanilla vodka, orange vodka, Chambord, and a little orange juice. So I did have vanilla vodka. Does anyone in the world have orange vodka?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments if you have orange vodka at home.
I think I have raspberry, but I've seen it.
Well, yeah, it exists, but that doesn't mean that anyone actually owns it.
Yeah, my girlfriends are into that.
So I had to improvise, and I used not Chambord because that's raspberry liqueur. I used it's called Aurum. It's an Italian liqueur, orange liqueur, but it's really sweet. So I had to mess with the proportions and stuff. I ended up putting probably a little more orange juice to cut the sweetness and a little more vanilla vodka to cut the sweetness. What are you doing?
I took a picture of you. Keep going for Jill.
Oh, Lord. So it's good. I think it helps also in my little shaker. It's in here with ice. And I think having the ice melt it ever so slightly is getting rid of the sweetness, but it's quite good.
Shaken, not stirred.
It is quite good. So, Carol, how are you doing this week? Week number, I don't know, I've lost track of.
What, in quarantine?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. We need to get to this episode because I have shit to say. Oh my God. This episode might have been the greatest Outlander episode I've ever seen. It was so, Outlandery. You guys, again, it might have been I started this at the beginning of the episode.
We really do need to catch up. I just can't drink this very fast because it's got a lot of liquor in it.
Just drink.
So you liked this episode. Oh, all right, I gotta say, I have all sorts of feels about this episode. Number one, obviously everybody knows this was written by DIANA GABALDON. I will be very curious to hear what Diane has to say about this episode because she really had to adapt her own work. Because there are portions of this episode, and we will get to them, that are right from the book. But, really, the plot for a lot of this episode is kind of, sort of different than what she created. So, I'm really going to be really curious to hear her approach to taking her own work and rethinking it to meld with what the producers and the showrunners want to do.
All right, I unmuted myself for this because did I not sit? I have heard DIANA GABALDON speak many a time, but I believe, am I correct, that she said she does not care for adapting her own work years ago. Well,
I think it was because people were asking her, are you going to write for the show all the time? And part of it was she didn't have time to do it, and that's not what she does. She doesn't really know. She's not a screenwriter.
Right, and let me talk. And people get up her ass because they're like, you don't write fast enough. And she's like, I write a hell of a lot faster than George R. Martin. But honestly, I believe that going back before the Starz merger, before all of that, when she was shopping this thing out or people were coming to her, they were like, why don't you just write it? And she was like, not into that. So once in a while, she said, yeah. So she did this, which, do you want, I'm going to admit it right now. Totally forgot. I forgot this was her episode.
Oh, really?
And now it makes freaking sense because I sat on that couch. I laughed. I cried. I felt every emotion. I was like, this feels more like Outlander than did you not hear me in the beginning of this video before you said she wrote it? I'm like, this felt more like Outlander than any episode ever. And sure enough, I'm like, oh yeah, this was her episode. Because you just said that. I totally forgot. And I wish she would write every episode.
No, I found it really interesting that she, I want to know what that process is like to have to take your own work and do something with it that you maybe never intended or didn't think, like maybe like just didn't think of, like what was it? I don't know. Maybe we'll realize it. I think there was something in this episode that actually worked a lot better than the book, and I can't remember what exactly it was. I can't remember what. Well, maybe we'll come across it, but
honestly, like some of the stuff they did, I was like, this is happening now. Whoa, this is happening now. I was like, they are giving us all of the Outlander goodness they possibly can.
Right. Well, I
kind of felt like, are they afraid that? Obviously, this was done a long time ago. I'm not being serious. But I'm like, are they feeling like Corona Apocalypse is going to mess us up to the fact that they better get it all in now while they can? Because, oh my God.
Okay.
This episode.
I gotta think that the top story of the hour is not, as many might say, how this ended. Because as people who have read the books and maybe have their ears to the ground a little bit in terms of rumors, whatever. Okay. What we are going to get in the finale is from a lot of this episode is from the 6th book, is from A Breath of Snow and Ashes.
Right. They're smushing it all together.
This taking of Claire happens about a quarter of the way through book 6, maybe.
And whatever. Because a lot of people that watch us don't read the books, and that's okay.
Okay.
And that's cool.
No, but
don't worry about it.
But the top story of the hour, I mean, that's what people expected. People, there was sort of a rumor that was going to happen. Nobody was really sure, but the word on the street was that they were going to put that series of events, which is going to be a lot of next week too, in this season, even though it happens in the next book. But nobody, and I mean nobody, and I don't think I'm like totally in the know of the rumors and innuendos, but nobody told me that Roger and Bree and Jemmy were gonna go through the stones. That was like, excuse me?
Oh my God.
That is our top story, ladies and gentlemen.
And did you see how they were like, they were like they stood up and they were like, ugh.
So I don't even know how to talk to non-book readers about this, because I don't want to spoil stuff. So I'm going to say this, and I'll cut it out if you think that I should cut it out, but Roger and Bree and Jemmy do go through the stones. Do go back through the stones. Again in book 6, not in book 5, because that also happens which is another reason why we didn't expect it now. But what happens to them afterwards is clearly not what is happening to TV, Bree, and Roger and Jemmy. And that is why this is the top story of the hour. Like, oh my God. Like, we don't know what's happening. The only thing I can see is that the second time I watched it, I watched really carefully, and you sort of see Jemmy kind of like go off to the right a little bit, sort of behind the stones, and there looks like there's a pile of logs or like logs about to be made into a cabin, or maybe it's a log cabin. Maybe they've landed in Valley Forge. I don't know. There's a lot of log cabins there, that's why. So I have no idea what's going to happen. But that, like, you could knock me over with a feather when that happened. Because the whole time they're like, okay, I guess we should go back now because Jemmy can travel. And, okay, here we go. Bye, everybody that we ever knew in our whole lives. I was still like, oh, they're not going back. Yeah, they're not supposed to go back yet. They don't go back for a long time. No. Nope. It wasn't until they were, like, literally, like, boom, that I was like, holy shit. Holy shit, they really did it. Wow. So Bree's not even going to be there for anything that might happen in the next episode.
I'm a little annoyed that we never got the, what was it, the Curious Cat or the...
No, and you know what? I didn't even think about this until the second time I watched it. I completely forgot about it. It was Mickey Mouse. So, okay. And we shouldn't complain because we got a lot.
Be in my heart.
We got a lot. We got a lot of stuff from the books that we really didn't necessarily think we would be getting in this episode. But one thing, when they do go back, at one point in the books, I think Bree tells Jamie about Disney World and Mickey Mouse and what that's like, and maybe not Disney World because I don't know if they have Disney World yet. In 1968, whenever she goes back, Disneyland maybe. And Jamie's just like, a mouse that talks, huh? Like it's this funny little bit that they have between them. But anyway, I think Claire and Jamie went with them at least to a certain point. And Jamie says to Jem, if you should happen to see I should just read it. If you should happen to see a mouse named Michael, tell him your granda says hello, or something like that. And it just is like, and then we would be putting together, when we were putting together a playlist of the books, that was a playlist for that moment, was You'll Be in My Heart from Phil Collins. And I cannot hear that song anymore without thinking of that moment between Jamie and Jemmy and going,
she's gonna cry.
Okay. Should we start at the top and work our way down? Okay. So the episode is 511 Journeycake. I don't know what a Journeycake is, do you? Like what a real Journeycake is?
It reminded me of the Sopranos and Johnnycake.
Dreaming of those Johnnycakes. Got beat you of Johnnycakes.
I don't know, because she was talking about like they had the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at their dinner before dinner, like as a almost, a mousse bouche or a appetizer. So I did not know if
I almost lost it. I thought that was awesome.
Jamie eating the peanut butter and jelly with fork and knife was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen.
I know, which is why I've been sitting here eating PB and crackers.
I know. So I couldn't do that because now I'm okay.
You just wash that shit down with margaritas and keep hitting the mute.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay. So, so it's called Journeycake. We have a cold open. We see the seasons go by at the Ridge. And it's very lovely. It's very nice cinematography work. Very beautiful. So it looks like it's spring now. And Jamie and Claire and Roger and Bree are coming home from a big trip to Williams Creek where they stock up on goods. And Claire has bought peanuts because she is bound and determined to give Jemmy a peanut butter and jelly sandwich before he grows up, or before he gets to be an adult. What?
Okay, so explain to me how she's bought peanuts, but Jamie doesn't know what they are.
Good call. Did he not know what they were, or did he not know what she wanted to do with them?
I felt like he didn't know what they were. And I was like, I'm sorry, don't you crack that shit in the middle of taverns and drop them on the floor?
Well, see, I would think maybe that they're more meant for, like, pig food or something. But that's a good call.
Got some pig food here?
I don't know. Or, like, animal food. I mean, I gotta think he has to at least know what they are, because if you can buy them in bulk like that, in Williams Creek, that can't be like, a hotbed of exotic goods. I don't know. Anyway, they have peanuts to bring them home.
I didn't know.
They come across a house that has been burnt down, and there are lots of dead people inside. I'm not sure how later they could realize that they were Dutch people. Maybe they found out who they were. Maybe they identified the bodies. I don't know.
They really skimmed over that, didn't they?
They did. And this was actually a couple of different parts of the book, sort of smushed into one, because the girl that Roger and...
There was a lot of smushing going on.
There was a lot of smushing. The girl that Roger and Jamie find happens later. They find her, like, separately in another burned house down. Because that was happening a lot. Like, they were coming across houses that had been burnt down or whatever. But it was just so sad. Like, they're walking around. It was triggering me all of the this action, like, was totally triggering to me. I don't know about you. I felt like I was in the grocery store when they're like holding their cloth to their nose. It's like, you guys better social distance too.
I didn't. I was happy to have an hour away from the coronavirus.
So okay, so they can tell that one died from a dart or an arrow or something like that, but they couldn't really tell. Like they didn't. I think they thought it would be weird that there was only one arrow. So anyway, Jamie and Roger come across,
but it was an arrow.
But it was, well, it looked like a dart almost. It didn't look like, it didn't have a big shaft like that, you know? It was like very, like the shaft was more of a dart. Jamie and Roger come across a girl who's still alive. Barely. Awful. Maybe the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my whole life. Just awful. I loved that though, because what I loved about it was that they didn't even speak. They just looked at each other. And I think that, I don't know if it was I think it was Roger that sort of, what does he do? Like look in Claire's direction or sort of like go like that. And Jamie goes like,
yeah. Jamie basically tells him like,
but
no,
it's like totally unspoken. This whole conversation that they have, which is, think we should go get Claire? No, she's gonna want to like.
And I love that.
I loved it too.
That Jamie spent enough time with Claire to know. Like there was a day when Jamie would be like, Claire. But now Jamie's like...
Jamie knows that she would want to try to save this woman or a girl or whoever it was. And,
see, I wasn't thinking that. I was just thinking Jamie would know, like, no, she can't save this woman, so...
Well, but that was part of it, too. That was part of it. Like, Jamie knows... I mean, Claire was all right with it when they did it with the Beardsley guy. But Jamie knew Claire couldn't save her. Claire couldn't save this girl. But you know Claire would have to try. But I think even Claire would just take one look at her and be like, you know.
Yeah, no. Are you kidding? I hate to say it, I wish they used their gun. When he whipped out his, whatever you put over her face, and I was like, oh, God.
She was just about dead already. Like, it was, I just loved that scene. Roger was when he's like, it's all right, sweetheart. It'll be all right. It'll be over soon.
The feels.
And then Jamie is reciting that poem about like going home. Yeah, God. I was like, I told Carol this episode wasn't that triggering to her, but maybe the second time I was watching, I was like, maybe I was wrong.
That got me.
And we're like 4 minutes in. Oops, my bad.
I know. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, this just started. And I'm already talking about going off to your slumber. Talk about trigger, my God.
So they bury them, and then we get our starting. Our writer this evening is one DIANA GABALDON. Wahaha! And our director is Jamie Payne.
When Claire yelled, "Is there anybody out there?" All I could think of was Titanic.
And that's when the bird girl was like. Okay, so our Easter egg is like maybe the best Easter egg ever. Now, okay, obviously the Easter egg is Claire eating the peanut butter sandwich, and this is right from the book. It's right from the book that she had wrapped them in plastic wrap, and as she was eating it, the plastic wrap blew away, and she couldn't get it. And she like sort of wondered a little bit like what would ever happen, or like if somebody found that, what would they even think, or like, you know.
Yeah. My girl wasn't. I was like, there goes your saran wrap. You might want to catch it.
I forget if it was in my own head or in the book where she thought about like archaeologists, you know, hundreds of years later finding like plastic wrap. I mean, I guess maybe it would sort of disintegrate by that point, but
she thought Mr. Saran is going to catch it and go, I've got an idea.
Wouldn't it be Mr. Rap? Isn't Saran his first name? It's Saran Rap. It's a little weird because when I was like, okay, so Bree made you peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and you brought them on the plane to Scotland. Like you brought them
to sustain her during her journey
to Scotland. And then, like, you didn't just go through the stones, like, that day, I'm guessing. You maybe were there a day or two. So by that point, by the time you went through the stones and got to Edinburgh, which is where I think she eats it, you know, meant she had to take, you know, a stage ride or something. That peanut butter sandwich was really gross. I mean, you know what peanut butter and jelly sandwiches got, like, by noon when you brought them for lunch for school. They were kind of disgusting then. I don't know. Maybe Brie just did a really good wrapping job with the saran, and they really stayed fresh, because even then, Brie had that engineering skill that she knew how to wrap the saran a certain way to keep it fresh for days. Okay. Where are we? Okay. So we see Ian running around with Jemmy. It just made my heart happy to see Ian, like, running around with Jemmy and, you know, being all fun and, like, happy. It was just nice. And Claire and Brie are talking about the peanut butter sandwich, whatever. So I don't know why they're playing with that. That opal is the otter tooth stone, right?
And no one seems to care that they're just hanging out in the front yard.
This is why are they playing with it? Like, isn't it kind of important? Isn't it an important artifact that Claire would maybe have, like, locked away in Jamie's desk drawer or something? But no, Ian's like, woohoo, Jemmy! Then come get it, woohoo! Yeah, that was a little weird.
Weird.
But, okay. But anyway, Jemmy gets a hold of it, and he's like, "Oh, it's hot." How cute is that toddler Jemmy?
How bonnet cute is that toddler Jemmy? Because he looks exactly like him.
He does look exactly like, but he's got himself a little Scottish accent, even though they're, you know.
I know. I was like, oh, I love his wee little Scottish. Wee little. That's like Bella Trattoria. His wee Scottish accent.
Oh my gosh, it was so adorable. And he's like he's a good little actor, that little boy. I mean, that little boy.
I know. I thought the same thing. And you know what else? He's not 6 months old.
I mean, they've been there now for. I mean, he's older than last week's Jemmy was, I think. Whatever the Jemmy was that was, like, sitting up, you know, when Brie and Roger wanted to have sex, and Jemmy was like, "Hi, hi."
Last week's Jemmy.
Yeah, last week's Jemmy.
Poor Jemmy, that was like 2.
But that Jemmy was just.
Next Jemmy's going to be graduating high school.
Yeah, that Jemmy was adorable. So
like soap opera Jemmy.
I know. Well, we said that last week. So the stone is so Roger. We're all taking the temperature of the stone, and Roger, Brie, Claire, and Jemmy all feel it very hot. And Ian and Jamie are like, "What are you talking about? Like, this is like, it's cold as the stone," as Jamie said. "This is cold as the stone."
Yeah,
it is one.
Yeah.
So for Jemmy, it feels so hot that in fact it cracks in his hands. So then they start hearing this buzzing. And I don't know I guess it was the stone that was buzzing. But Claire and Jemmy and Roger and Brie are all like, "Did you hear that sound? And Jamie and Ian are like, huh? So then they have this whole conversation right there in front of Ian that's like, "Do you think this means the boy can travel?" "I don't know." "Do you think he'll leave then?" "I guess
Do you think
will."
he's gonna like? Do you think he's gonna like disco?
And Ian's like, they're talking about all this right in front of Ian, who I mean, I kind of assumed Ian knew already. That's why I was like, when he came in, he's like, "No, I don't want to talk about the Browns or whatever. I want to talk about, you know, what happened with you."
Didn't know already.
Well, but what they're talking about it right in front of him.
Berta knew, but I think they feel like, they're like, at that point they were like, you know, it's Ian. He's going to hang on our every word. He's never going to tell anyone. Like, he loves this stuff. Let's just tell him.
I don't think that's. I mean, Ian later said, you know, "I never asked any questions. I just, you know, I didn't want to know, whatever." But I don't think they talk about it right in front of him. I don't think they're. I mean, that's like talking about it in front of Lord John or, you know, Lizzie. I think that they're. You know, I've often said this in the show. Brie and Claire seem very blasé about, like, Oh, remember the Beatles? Oh, they're awesome. I love them. What about Elvis Presley? He's great. Let's sing that song, Mama. You know?
Mama.
Okay. Yeah, I found that a little confusing. Anyway, some riders show up. It's a big posse, and it's the Browns. And they want Jamie to join their committee of safety. They have started a committee of safety that's basically going to patrol the area because now that Tryon's war is over and Tryon's gone, there's just nobody's protecting them anymore. So they have to take matters into their own hands. It felt very Cold Mountain to me. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah, but I didn't think that.
I loved that movie, and it felt very much like that posse with the guy from Sons of Anarchy, who was the really, really mean guy.
Oh my God! What?
You knew this.
Jack?
You knew this. Yeah.
Blonde Jax?
Yeah, he's an awful guy in Cold Mountain.
Oh, I don't even remember that movie. I mean, I saw it 5 million years ago.
I love that movie so
I
much.
was thinking you meant on Sons of Anarchy, and I was like, do not be calling Jax really, really mean.
No, he's in Cold Mountain. He's super mean, and it's this posse of guys, and they have like a safety patrol, which basically like you pay them, and they won't like mess with you. Like that's the safety patrol, and the Browns are kind of, sort of, seeming to be not too far removed from that.
Okay.
So Claire, of course, because Claire can smell a wound at 50 paces, is like, so which Brown? I don't know whether it's Lionel or the other one. I think it was Lionel. I don't remember. Is like, hey, your leg's wounded. Here, come off, and I'll fix you up. So the Browns are all thinking that it's the Indians that are pulling all this, and Ian is not going along with that. Ian is like, no. Of course, the Browns are all like, how do you know? So Jamie's going to think about joining the committee, and you know that by considering it, he means like, hell no, he's not joining their stinking committee. But he'll think about it. Anything to add there?
Yeah, just the fact that it was kind of uncomfortable because, they threw it in his face. Like, we helped you.
Oh, yeah.
Now we need you to help us.
Yeah. And
Jamie's like, yeah, I'm going to think about that. Woo, look at the time. Did that baby stop? It's a conundrum.
It's kind of true, though, because they really did help him. They really did step up to help him.
Right. But you know what? Jamie's like, I don't give a rat's ass. Like, ultimately, he doesn't care. He's like, yeah, all right.
Let's talk about this. I mean, like, should Jamie have helped them a little bit? Like, should Jamie have said, okay, because, I mean, his excuse is fairly plausible. He's been working with Tryon for a year, and now he's got to, like, devote some time to his family. I buy that. But, like, it is kind of true that they did, like, show him a solid. Like,
yeah, and you know what? F. Timmy. Are you kidding me? That guy? No way. Jamie Fraser is it. You do what Jamie Fraser says and not the other way around. End of story.
I don't know. I think that I kind of wonder if Jamie would have been like, well, I'm not gonna, join up, but I'll load you up with some whiskey. How's that? I'll make sure you and your men are happy in the safety patrol. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that. So Claire and Jamie are talking. Claire thinks that Bree and Roger are going to leave. And then in walks Ian. And he's like, we need to talk about what just happened. And Jamie's like,
hang on a minute, though. Because you definitely missed something. Stone, and they said something about them going back. Jamie's face, his face, absolutely crying for Jamie that they're going to go back. Did you see him?
No.
When she was like, it was back with the stone and the little conversation they had, and Jamie like looked like, and she looked at him, and oh my God, I thought it was so amazing. Sometimes they do little something. His face just his little the expression on his face was just
I will have to watch
hard.
that next time. I was probably writing down, like, why are they talking about this with Ian there?
He is sick over the fact that he just got her back and now he's going to lose her all over again. Oh, God.
I know. Well, I had all those feels, like, later on when he's talking to Bree and giving her the picture of Willie.
This is like the entire series was jammed into one episode. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Okay. So yeah, Ian barges in and he's like, we need to talk about what happened. And Jamie's like, yeah, the Browns are real douchebags, aren't they? And Ian's like, no, we need to talk about this whole dealie. Like, what's going on?
What did you think about this? Because I was like again, you guys, I'm sorry to keep comparing, but I was trying to remember how, like...
I know. I was trying to remember too. And I think I think
it was sort of like he knew there was something up, but they never really came out and told him.
No, you know what it is? I think, if I'm recalling correctly, the stone, I think the stone does blow up or crack or whatever, but I think he knows at this point because I think he finds out at the very, like, right after he comes back. And the reason is that he goes to Uncle Jamie, he goes to Jamie and Claire with the Ottertooth book, because I think he has the Ottertooth book. I think. And he's like, okay, so, I have this book, and now I meant to, like, really, like, refresh my memory about all this kind of stuff. What I'm wondering is if he understood a lot of it. I mean, didn't understand it, like, conceptually, but could read it.
Right.
I kind of wonder if Ian, now, I guess Ian probably doesn't know how to read Latin because he wasn't educated the way Jamie was. But he's basically, that is really how he finds out. He brings this book to Jamie and Claire. You know, he says, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you know, I don't know if you guys want to tell me something, but here's this book I have, and it's kind of weird, and it reminds me a lot of somebody I know, Auntie Claire. And I think that's kind of how he finds out at that point. And I think it's at the end of book 5. I'm not certain. So that by the time book 6 comes along and all this exploding gems happen, which happens in book 6, he already knows about it. So it's not a surprise to him.
God forgive me, I don't remember, but I thought it was interesting the way he said, like, I don't read Latin. So are we to presume that Ottertooth, aka 1960s or wherever Ottertooth came from, Ottertooth was writing this all in Latin? Like,
maybe no, I think he wrote some of it in Mohawk because Ian said he could read some of it, which my assumption was that some of it was written in Mohawk, maybe later on when he learned how to speak it more.
I don't know, but I just find it fascinating. I think the whole Ottertooth thing is just so cool.
But so Ian hands it over and he's like, okay, you know, what's up? So Claire tells him, he's like, I always knew you were a fairy. And the look on Claire's face is hilarious. Because how many times has she heard that before?
She's like, oh God, I'm a fairy.
She's like, I'm not a fairy. Oh, Faye. I feel like I should wear a t-shirt.
Call me a fairy, Ian.
That was really funny. So Ian now knows the truth. Okay, so Jamie and Claire ride to some cabin. And out of the cabin steps Ulysses.
Oh my God.
And none of it. Okay, so this is a prime example of an example of a piece of her work that Diana had to adapt because, well, as you know, as we said last week, Ulysses doesn't kill Gerald Forbes in the books, so none of this happens this way. None of it. It's a very different thing, which I will not spoil.
He never leaves Jocasta in the books.
He never leaves Jocasta in the books. No. But he doesn't. I mean, the point here is that he has to leave because even though he totally saved Jocasta's life by, you know, that the murder was totally self-defense, that he, as a black man, would never be like that would never be acceptable, or he would never be acquitted, or he would be accused no matter what, even if Jocasta was like, you know, he was saving my life. So it was a nice scene. He's hiding out there. He's actually a free man. We learned that he's not a slave. So I do want to talk about this Ulysses stuff for a minute, because I'm of two minds of it, I have to say. I kind of didn't get the purpose of it. Like, okay, so I guess the assumption is everybody's like, what happened to Ulysses? Like, what's going to happen to him? He killed Forbes. Like, you know, he has to, what retribution is there going to be? I didn't see it that way. I kind of thought that was just like I wasn't worried if I never see Jocasta and Ulysses and River Run again. I was fine with that. It was so bizarre to me to begin with, the killing of Forbes, that I didn't really need to see Ulysses and find out what happens to him and how he has to like hide out now and how he has to be like.
Well,
like
clearly they're going somewhere with that.
Well,
so.
But are they? I thought they were too.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Where?
He's going with Lord John.
Okay, so he's going back to England. He's going to England with Lord John, and then when will we see him again?
That's up to the producers.
Do you think we will see him again?
Yeah, I think it's going to be in a storyline. They needed to get him away from Jocasta for some reason. We don't know yet.
I don't think we'll ever see him again. I think the story is over.
Oh. Okay. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Why wouldn't they just leave him there? Did you, after last week, go, oh no, Ulysses is going to get arrested?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. And that's why I'm confused. Why have this little...
Yes. Explain.
Okay.
It was, the storyline is a vehicle to get Ulysses away from Jocasta. I don't know if they're trying... We're getting into spoiler land, so I'm not going to say that much.
I'll do a spoiler alert right now.
Okay, right now.
Excuse me, spoiler alert.
Okay, the bottom line is I'm assuming that Ulysses is going to end up in Philadelphia. We are going to see Ulysses again in Philadelphia with Lord John. I don't know why. This is one of those things that you have to be okay with not knowing. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. You don't know. It's out of our control, which is, I love this stuff because give me new stuff. I know Outlander. Give me new Outlander. This is great. So the bottom line is Ulysses is going to show up elsewhere with Lord John. We don't know. Maybe it's going to have something to do with Willie. Maybe it's going to have something to do with like Willie's upbringing. Who knows?
All right, wait, can I interject one thing? Because then I'll shut the spoiler off.
The writers have something that they are doing with Ulysses.
Can I say one thing and then I'm shutting the spoiler off because I do want to talk about this. Can we all agree that there is never going to be a Jocasta Ulysses like there was in the book? That's a one-way street in the show.
I love, they've already taken me there. I already love the fact that Ulysses and Jocasta have a love affair. They really do. They have a love affair going, and they're like an old married couple. And it's sort of like, you know, centuries and centuries and centuries ago, like when it's like 16th century stuff, when like the knights would, you know, sort of be in love with the queen or the
But the
princess.
queen wasn't in love with them.
Oh, yes, she was.
No, she wasn't.
How many? Yes, she was. How many of them? The king was off doing his thing, doing the girls, doing whatever.
She might have been in love with one of them, and Jocasta was in love with one of them. And his name was Murta, and he's not around anymore.
Okay, but you can have different loves in your life.
Jocasta, I mean, Ulysses isn't even here anymore. He's going to be in London now. Jocasta, that will never happen on the TV show. The TV show in the book.
I don't think we're going to watch like Jocasta and Ulysses getting busy. But at the same time, I think they needed, look, We don't know, but there's got to be a reason why they would do this.
I don't think there's a reason.
They would have just left him with Jocasta, but for whatever reason, they want Ulysses. Maybe they want the separation.
I'm gonna shut the spoiler off because I think we can talk about this with everybody now. We made the point that we made.
Wait, did you turn it off yet?
No.
Did you turn it off yet?
No.
I think they're going to bring Ulysses to Philly.
I don't think we're going to get that far. And that's another. That might be another spoiler later on.
You mean the series?
Yes,
you mean they're going to cancel before we get to Philly?
Yes.
Why? Outlander is huge for Starz.
I feel like let's do another spoiler alert when we get there because it has to do with the Roger and Bree stuff. And I feel I'm wondering something, but okay. But it was a good scene, and it was very nice to see Ulysses, and yeah, it was very interesting. Okay, and he's clearly attached to Jocasta, like he's okay. So we're at the cabin. Jemmy has his own room now. I don't know where Bree like went off to the side, like through a door, and so I guess maybe Roger did finish the extension or whatever the hell he was doing.
Roger was like, "I'm tired of our wee son looking at us all the time.
But we're getting busy during sexy time. Dampens the mood."
Roger was like, "This might have worked in the 18th century, but it doesn't work for me."
Okay, so they're talking about why Jemmy is extra sensitive to the stone, made it crack and whatever. And Bree's like thinking like, well, maybe it's because we're both travelers. Both his parents are travelers, and then he's like, maybe that means that you're his biological father. And they're all like, oh, that's really good. So they decide they're going to go
and
back.
We're all, while they're saying that, we're all like, yeah, except he's not, because look at him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is pretty, I mean, you can look like a lot of people, but, I think this is pretty much proof. So they're like, all right, well, we're going to have to come up with a story. So they decide Roger's going to get a job at a university in Boston. And they're just going to have to, Bree's like, I'm going to have to say goodbye to everyone I know. Okay. So the big house, we're at the big house. Jamie is a visitor, and it is Lord John. It is Lord John. And
oh my God.
I just thought it was so funny because, Lizzie's like, oh, sir, you have a visitor. And then she like sort of presents Lord John. And then she's just sort of standing there in the background like eyeing Lord John like he is a, freshly caught fish that she is just going to like scale and, mount on her wall.
She's going to scale and saute. Damn.
Oh, Lizzie.
I was like, I think I wrote something down at that point. I was like, I was taking my little notes as it was going.
Well, and Jamie too was like,
oh my God.
Jamie was like, John. And Lizzie was like, John.
I know. I love the little relationship with he and Jamie. They're such like bros before hoes.
I know. Speaking of cleaning fish, maybe that's where I thought of it, because Ian and Bree and Claire look like they're catching fish and cleaning them. And poor Ian. Oh, he's so good. Oh my God, he's so good. John Bell, you are so good. I almost feel bad for Marcelly because it feels like now that Ian's back, Marcelly's been sort of kicked to the side. Marcelly used to be the come in for 2 seconds and steal the show. Now it's starting to be John Bell. He's so good. But anyway, he's like, wanting to know about like, so you can change things through time traveling, right? And I don't know why Claire didn't tell him like, no, you can't because we've tried. And like, she's like, well, we did a little bit. We saved some of the men at Lollybrock. Well, who's to say that they weren't already saved? Like, this is the thing. I don't think.
I thought the same thing.
Who can, she can't like tell that. She doesn't know what was gonna happen to them. Like maybe they got out of it another way.
Anything at this point in Outlander, it's you can't change the future.
Yeah, now. So So basically, he says, if he could travel through the stones, and maybe change something with a husband and his wife, but Claire's like, well, you can't. Like, it doesn't work that way. And he's like, well, you could take me, and we could do whatever, and then come back. And she's like, it doesn't work that way. I can't do that.
Oh,
so
God,
poor Ian, he's just like, oh, then don't even bother. Like, just don't talk to me anymore. Poor Ian. Oh my God.
He was like a little kid. It was reminding me of when we went to the Thousand Islands with Aunt Brenda, and I woke up, and all y'all were driving away to like church or something, and I was like, whoa, and I had to stay home, and I wanted to go. Being the youngest in the family, you guys, are you kidding me? You always want to go, and you can't always go, and I just felt for wee Ian so much. I was like, this poor soul, like he just wants to go. I cried at that point. And usually that's not like a situation that's going to make me cry, but I cried because I was like, he's adventurous and he just wants to go with them and he can't.
I know.
I'm looking for my favorite.
I know. It was like heart. Yeah, it was awful. All right, so we're back at the big house now. So Lord John has to go back to London. He has to go to Hellwater because Lord Dinsney has died. So he has to really start like showing William how to be a lord, how to be all, hoity-toity, whatever. So they're talking about that, and Jamie's like, how do you feel about leaving everything? It must be hard. And Lord John goes, because I wrote it down, there are no doubt there are a great many things I shall miss about being here.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
Hey, where's my little Here's my little dagger. Yeah. I went, oh, we know what you're talking about. Oh, I felt so bad. I think Jamie knows what he's talking about, or is Jamie like? I think Jamie. Yeah, I think Jamie in his heart of hearts knows, but I think he just. So how about them Yankees? Yeah, I don't think Jamie thinks about it. Like when he says something like that, I think Jamie takes him at face value and is like, yeah, there's a lot of things. I don't think Jamie's like, oh, he really loves me. You know what I mean? Right, but right.
Everyone loves James, Alexander, Malcolm, Mackenzie, Fraser. Right. So to us, it's like, duh.
Right. No, I get it. So Lord John also feels a storm coming on with the colonies. So it's a good time to get out of Dodge, basically, is what he was saying. Right. And he's brought a wee gifty for Jamie, and it's a picture of William.
Yes.
Very cute. William looks to be about...
What do you think about the picture?
It's cute. Sort of looked like Jamie. How old is William now? Like,
oh God, that looks like Jamie.
15 maybe-ish? Well, in the books, like, he's not... I don't know that he's, like, the picture of Jamie. I mean...
I thought he was supposed to be a picture of Jamie with dark hair.
Darker hair.
Dark. He's not red. He's brown.
But he's not...
He's like Geneva. He has Geneva's color hair, but he looks like Jamie.
Yeah, I guess more or less. All right. So we're in the Claire and Jamie bedroom. Jamie's got his little picture on the nightstand. He's reading some book. They're talking a little bit. They're having some cute talk, whatever. So Claire goes and she takes her hair down. At one point, did you already know at this point what was coming?
No.
Okay, neither did I.
No.
Neither did I. She puts on the perfume. She has a special bottle of perfume that she puts on, if she thinks there's going to be a little something going on.
She's like, ooh, no, I need a bath.
But Jamie, by the time she turns around, Jamie is fast asleep. So she's like, oh, well, all right, whatever.
And I took one look at that and I said, been there.
What, with the perfume?
No, been like, okay, and sound asleep. Been there.
Yeah. So it's the middle of the night, and Claire, and we haven't really been acknowledging this very much, but Claire is a woman of her late, now she's, oh my god, actually, Claire, if Jamie has just turned 50,
she's 56,
and he might even be 51 at this point, because a year might have gone by since the gathering or the wedding. I'm not really sure, but let's call her 56. So I guess she's just now, because she's Claire, superhuman and able to stave off menopause, is just now starting to have some premenopausal symptoms. I don't know. Maybe some people start to experience that at 56. Those are lucky bastards if they do.
I was I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and once it hit me, I was when she got up, she was oh my God. I was oh, for the first time in I don't even know how long, I felt normal. I was yes, it's not just me. When you wake up at 3 a.m. and you're Lord, get the covers off. It's just,
well, it's covers off, covers on. I find that it's very good sometimes to just have your foot sticking out of the covers.
You know what, Tracey? You have said that before, but that's not enough for me. I need it all off.
Because I don't
because it hits you. It hits you out of nowhere.
I'm having a hot flash.
And the killer is that it wakes you up. It wakes you up at 3 a.m. and you're what? Oh my God. You're throwing the cameras off. So I saw that, and all at once, two things. Number one, I was yes, I feel normal. And number two, I was oh, I know what this scene is.
So yes, at this point, you guys, the minute Claire wakes up with the night sweats, book readers across the land are I'm gonna get it. And we were very uncertain last week or the week before. I think it was the week before with the snakebite episode, where we discover that Jamie and Claire do in fact have a first floor master. Because somebody brought that up in a comment. They're how are they going to do the windowsill scene? And I was oh my God, I know. I totally forgot about that. And I think they kind of faked it a little bit in this one, because, they're supposed to be on a higher floor, so that there's a little danger involved. It's a little exciting.
Yeah.
Danger.
Right.
Not just that, the ground is 3 feet off the ground there. But maybe the first floor there is a little higher up, so it's a little bit of a fall. There's a little danger involved. But anyway, this scene is right out of the book. So of course we're going to break it down in its entirety here.
Dear God, what are we breaking down? What we just did?
I have it written down here. Claire breaks out the perfume for a little something, but Jamie's asleep, and oh my God, here we go. So okay. It was, this is a scene. This is a very famous scene about readers, the windowsill scene. If you were to have a list, not like we've done this, except that we probably have, of top 10 hot moments in the series. This is top 5, I would say, right?
Lord. I sent this. Go ahead.
My one complaint, it wasn't as hot as it could have been with Claire in her granny nightie, and Jamie in his clothes from working in the fields all day.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what though? I liked it because it was
there. I liked that it was well, yeah. I mean, yes, I have no complaints except that was maybe a little I just was, but I get it. Look, every time Sam takes his shirt off in the show, I would really like to know a dollar amount on that. I would really like to know a dollar amount. That makes me curious enough to next time they're gonna have a live chat somewhere to find out, stick around for it, and ask that question. What is the dollar amount for every time Sam has to take his shirt off with those back scars?
Cha-ching.
What's that costing? Is that $10,000 there?
Cha-ching.
I know. So clearly, that that's something that and obviously they're putting, I would think they're putting more money into it now with like the location and the set and whatnot. So if they don't have to like do the prosthesis or the makeup, whatever you want to call it, they're not going to do it. It took, the only moment that took me out of it a little bit was this. So it was all good, you know, he's like, he's doing the Pepe Le Pew up her arm, he's like, oh, garlic and this, and she's like, oh, you know what we had for dinner. Then at one point, and again, it's all from the book, Diana was just like, I'm sure, like, wait, Doug, go find me a precious dough and ashes. Wait, where's my coffee? Go bring it over. I gotta type something in.
My best friend, Doug.
So he's like doing the Pepe Le Pew, and then at one point he says something in French. Well, what he says in French is like basically, and I don't speak French, but I think this is what it means, and it is in the book too, and maybe they said it different in the TV show, but it's basically like something like, you know, referring to her armpit, like the smell of your armpit or something like that. But because she had the granny nightie on, there was no armpit to be smelled. So he sort of says that to her, and I can't believe I'm breaking this down like as much as I am.
I know. I'm like, what?
He sort of says that to her while he's in her hair. And maybe they change it so it's like the smell of your hair or something like that. But or your hair, meaning this hair and not other hair. You know, that was my only thing. What?
Visual.
Oh, I thought you were saying my mascara was running.
It's visual on TV.
I do want to find out what that said in French, though.
Mother of God, I think that drink has gotten more full since you started talking.
It's kind of, no, it's just really diluted now because this was full of ice. There's not actually that much drink in here, but the whole thing is full of ice, so it's all gotten very melty.
I'm to the point where I can't even drink any more of this, or I'm gonna.
This is basically orange juice and water now.
Okay, the bottom line is
it's delicious.
It's TV and it's visual. They can't get into her armpit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The granny nightie was not a good visual. And
I like the granny nightie. It was real life. They're like the Waltons.
I don't want it to be real life.
You know what? Let me talk. The granny nightie drives home the point that you don't die when you hit 50. The granny nightie drives home the point that we are being.
No, the hot Scot, like, you know, heading down south, driving home that point. The granny nightie, is ruining the image.
Look, life isn't a Harlequin romance.
I guess we'll have to agree to disagree.
You can get it.
And I don't want to say that it's a big thing. It was one thing that I was just like, I analyzed where it went, and where it went was, we don't want to spend the money to do his back, so just leave him in his clothes, but it's going to look weird that she's like totally naked and he's in his clothes, so just keep the granny nightie on, and we'll just do it there. And all I'm saying is that, like, I did want to get that like feeling of like heat and sweat and whatever. It was all good. I was totally glad we had it. You know, it was great. It was great. But, you know, there you go. What?
Nothing. I appreciate the fact that you would have liked it a little different. I was fine with it. And I liked the fact that he was fully dressed. And I liked the fact that he woke up in the middle of the night and went over to her on the window and was like, downtown. Because if that was real life, he would have been like, shut the freaking window, I'm cold. So I liked the granny nightie.
I didn't like the granny nightie.
Any man who is appreciative of his woman, even in a granny nightie, that makes it even better.
And you know, I'm not Miss like, you know, they just need to be naked all the time. I'm not at all. In this case, I kind of like the believability. You know what it was like? I hate in movies when, and I think I've said this before, when like, you know, you see like two people have had sex or whatever, and then like the one gets up to go get a glass of water, and like takes the whole sheet off the bed or the blanket off the bed to wrap around themselves.
And you're like,
okay,
where have you ever done that?
Who has ever done that ever? B, like, they just saw you naked. What's the big deal? And C, now you're gonna have to make up the bed again. And who wants to do
Who wants to do
that?
That's
a pain in the ass. And he's not gonna help you. So so like what's the point? So I am of the mindset
you're gonna go through that whole thing like, no, I have more on my side. How much do you have? I have this much. No, tuck that in. You need to pull it. It's gonna get caught on my toes.
And we grew up with hospital corners, you guys. Hospital corners. It's and I don't know about you, but I cannot go to sleep if the bedding is all messed up. I am like military sheets bedding. In fact, if it's just me in the bed and I go to sleep and I get up the next morning, you will think I have made the bed because I haven't like moved any of it. I've like literally like crawled in, gone to sleep, and crawled out, and it looks exactly the same.
I like practically paper, just straight, no lumps and bumps and wrinkles. I love that.
I know.
I can't stand when it's like kicked and shoved and.
I know. All right. So anyway, loved it. So glad that it was there. The dialogue was great. It was right from the book. The two of them were great. Like the banter back and forth was a lot of fun. I thought it was, I mean, they really did seem like a real couple. You know? Anything else to say about that?
I think I pretty much said it. I was happy with it. I liked the granny nightgown. I thought it was real. Well, as real as it can be. Like, how many times you hung out the window while someone was going downtown?
I know. I was kind of like, she's barely holding on. Like, I don't know.
But I cracked up because I remember you loving that scene in the book. So I was like, as soon as they showed it, I was like, oh, Tracey's going to love this.
I know. And I did. I was so glad to see it. But I just, Okay.
Yeah. So move on to Claire and Jamie.
So moving on to the next scene. The next morning, Claire's in her surgery. Jamie comes in. He's like, oh, what are you doing? She's like, I'm looking with this new lens that Lord John gave me of my microscope. And so he takes a look. He's like, oh, look at this. Look at these the wee beasties. Like, aren't they handsome fellows with their little swishy tails? Like, they're not like what I thought they would be. I imagine that the wee germs had like wee teeth that, were like gnawing and everything. And she's like, those aren't germs. They're sperms. He's like, huh? She's like, sperms that like make babies. He's like, oh, well, where'd you get them? And she's like, really? I had to like explain this to you. Do you recall last night? Although I will say, I mean, I guess they continued to be busy because, what they were doing in the windowsill didn't really involve sperms.
I'm sorry. But I was like, unless my girl got up, whatever they did, took a bit and went into the microscope, they would not have been swimming 12 hours, 10 hours, 8 hours later. Like, I was like, she's like, oh, yeah, these are from what we did, from last night. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that was hours ago. Like, are they still swimming?
Okay. All right, you guys. This scene is also in the books. This is also a classic scene. I thought this was a little less classic. I thought you and I just really liked the scene. Carol and I call this the toast scene because in the books, Jamie is eating a piece of toast. And I was were you a little sad that the toast was not involved in this?
No toast. The toast was the best part.
The toast made this really funny because Jamie, you can just imagine Jamie like eating some toast and like literally like once he finds out what it is, like just sort of sitting there with the toast like hanging out of his mouth almost. Like it was really funny to read. But as I'm remembering now, that this happens No, actually, that did happen in Fiery Cross. But they had just, had some, like, breakfast in bed, as a horror lady said last week about Stephen Bonnet. Jamie likes breakfast in bed, too.
We like to call that hot McLovin.
Yeah. So Claire, so Jamie had brought Claire some breakfast in bed, and that's what she was studying maybe an hour and a half later. To your point, not 8-9 hours
last
later.
Night. She says, "Oh, that was from last night," whatever she says. And I'm thinking to myself, well, how long ago was that?
I mean, we don't really know how long ago. Like, it could have been at 3 a.m. And, I'm sure there are early risers.
Then disbelief. That's what it's called.
I know. Well, you sound like you're complaining.
Oh, I'm certainly not complaining. It was great. But the bottom line is those suckers would not still be swimming hours later, I don't believe.
Claire said they could leave for up to a week in the optimal environment.
What?
Claire said they can live for up to a week in the optimal environment. Just like the coronavirus.
And what is the optimal environment?
Well, the nice, warm, moist.
What exactly is... Look, now you want to talk about coronavirus and COVID. Are you kidding me? Like, this is... I just had a huge conversation today with my neighbor about the temperature because she's convinced that once we hit 70 degrees, they're all going to die. And I'm like, hi, Florida, how are you? Like, no. So
Claire said that. Claire was the one that said they can live, meaning, if you do it, I can't even do the math at this point. Like,
you don't have to, because I know. My point is, what's the optimal environment? And was it the optimal environment for 12 hours or 10 hours or 8 hours, however long they slept? But the bottom line is, I don't care.
Carol, it's James, Alexander, Malcolm, Mackenzie, Frasers, Seed. That can live forever.
All right. That shit lives forever.
like luggage. So anyway, this is another scene right from the book. It's great. It's funny. Jamie sees the wee beasties, except they aren't wee beasties, and he's just like, oh my God, what? Very funny.
Right. So let's move on to Jamie and Bree.
Okay. Jamie and Bree, this is just like a lovely little scene. So they talk. He gives her the portrait of Willie and tells her the story that she has a brother.
Killed, dead. D-E-D. I went, I mean, oh my God. And then, of course, you're like sitting here thinking about the books and how it all goes down. And, no.
I know. And again, this is another one where Diana had to adapt her own work, because this is not how Bree finds out
because
about
I remember
Willie.
Conversation with John and worrying that she was gonna. Yeah, no.
Now, this is not how she finds out at all. So Diana really had to adapt.
That's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay. Not complaining.
No, I'm making the. I want to know from her what the challenges were to take her own work and adapt it. Like what the challenges were. Did she like doing it? Were there benefits to that? Like, did it give her different ideas? Like, I just want to know her process.
Right.
But this is an instance
where
it's very different.
If they brought her in for this, because they were like, oh shit, we have to tell so much shit in one episode. Only DIANA GABALDON's going to be able to do it. I think they probably
they break the story, they break the season. That's what they do in the writer's room. They sort of take what they're going to do and break it into episodes. And then they probably said, which one do you want? And she was probably that one.
I need to speculate.
Yeah, he says, he's like, maybe you'll be able to find him because, he's going to be an Earl, so that shouldn't be that hard, huh? And she's like, yeah. It's a great scene. And when he goes, you have made my life whole. Where's my thing? Here, I'm about to make another hole in my heart. Just like a really lovely scene with the two of them. And I've said this all season. Sophie is just... I think that Sophie Skelton deserves all the props in the world because she's really taken this character, which is an incredibly difficult character to play, and run with it. Right. And I'm very proud of her. Slow golf clap for Sophie. So Bree and Roger break the news to Marcelly and Fergus. There's yet another Baron coming to add to their collection. They're gonna have a soccer
was
team
that
ready.
just announced tonight?
Yes. So this is number 4.
I was like, did I miss this being announced before, or is this the first we're hearing?
No, this is number 4 on the way. And then Bree talks to Lizzie. Lizzie's all, like, okay, well, it'll be really sad to leave, but like, okay, where are we going next? And Bree's like, you're not gonna come with us. And Lizzie's like, oh, yeah, cool.
I thought that was sad.
You'll send for me. And Bree's like, no.
It was sad.
And that was very sad. That was a lovely, lovely, lovely little. So that might have been my favorite, because it did feel like there were like 7,000 Bree goodbye scenes. In this episode.
I didn't know what Bree was going to give as an explanation. And I thought, I just want her to say something like, you're more needed here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she needs to know that she's important.
So Lizzie is not going to go. I don't know what the future holds for Lizzie. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. So, okay. Anyway, Lionel Brown is back. He now has brought his wife with them. He wants an answer from Jamie. Jamie has decided to politely decline the offer. Thank you very much, but we wish you well, and all the best to you. And Lionel Brown is like, yeah, that's not gonna fly, but whatever, bro, it's your call.
And Jamie's like,
get off my lawn.
Oh, wouldn't that have been good? But no, he can't do that because Lionel Brown's wife is with him, and her arm is like basically like this.
My God.
And so he's like, yeah, fix her up.
It didn't hurt, I swear.
No, I fell down the stairs. That's what happened. Yeah, I'm really clumsy. Atlanta Brown's a douchebag
at the situation, but
so
just it was predictable. It was predictable.
So she goes in. She's like, Claire's like sends Lionel to go get some whiskey because she needs to make a tonic. And then when Lionel leaves, she and Marcelly are like, okay, what's the deal? Like, and the wife sort of doesn't say exactly what happened, but they get the gist of it. And Lionel is kind of mean to her. He wants a kid. She doesn't want to have a kid because he's mean enough to her. She's afraid of what he would do to a kid, but she knows the drill now because she read it in the paper that Dr. Rollins.
But I'm not really understanding because these people are pretty much, for 18th century standards, they're like grandparents' age. So, like, what are we talking about them having a kid?
I mean, I think this woman, because this woman is a new wife to him, right? And I think this woman looks a little older because, she's a old wife. But I don't think she's that old. I think she's, 30?
I don't know. I'm not really paying attention. I guess I'm paying more attention to him. He says disgusting.
I think he's a lot older than she is, but she's like, I guess, his second wife. I don't know what happened to the first one. He probably like did her in. Maybe he's like the Beardsley.
I like the realism in this situation, and 18th century. Finally, we're not trying to, we're showing things the way they really were. Sorry,
they were like that
the
a
way
lot.
They really
yeah,
were.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Stop. She was his property.
Right, of course. So she's saying to Claire how she read about, Dr. Rollins' column or whatever, that like if you don't do it 2 weeks before your course is, then you're not gonna have a baby. And Claire's like, oh, Dr. Rollins said that, huh? So Lionel comes back in. I don't know that I guess he did bring the whiskey back in. But anyway, he's nosing around and he sees a box with Dr. Rollins written in it. Da, da, da. And he's like, come on.
But here's the thing that I didn't understand. Is she like quoting this shit to him? Dr. Rollins says
yes,
we don't.
They did it. Remember? They did it.
But he wants one. He wants one. Why would she tell him that Dr. Rollins says not to?
No, well, they didn't quote that, but they made it very clear back when they were in Brownsville that all of the ladies were a Twitter over Dr. Rawlings and his column and all of his newfangled medical advice. And they were talking about it in the kitchen that time when Claire was sitting there like, oh, can I see this paper? Oh, wow. And, you know, then the other two ladies on the bench that were all like talking about it. I mean, it's the talk of Brownsville. So
I don't know. I feel like the men are in the field doing the men work, and the women are doing the women work, and ne'er the twain shall meet.
So you don't think
like,
the men know what the women are talking about?
Everything's kept so hush-hush from him, so why does he know about Dr. Rollins? I don't know, but whatever.
But he
disbelief again.
does. He sees his name in Claire's medical case.
Right.
He puts 2 and 2 together pretty quickly, I guess, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So he's like, we gotta go. Let's go. No tonic for her. No tonic for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
No soup for you. No tonic for you.
No tonic for you. So, okay. Now it's time for Ian and Roger to talk. And Roger says, you know, we want you to, we need somebody to come with us to the Stones because somebody's got to take the horses and the buggy back. And we want it to be you because because Bree thinks that if Jamie and Claire go, she's not going to be able to leave.
It's coming.
I know. So then Roger hands Ian a piece of paper. It's the deed to the 500 or 5,000 acres. Ian's like, no, I can't take this. And Roger's like, all right, well, just like take care of it and then, you know, do whatever you want with it. Well, I don't care. Whatever. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be back in 2,200 years from now. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my
I will
God.
never be shot at again. I will never have to go to war. Roger is 2.5 years.
Roger's like that person heading home on the plane, already buckled in with their book ready. Like, let's get the hell home.
Roger's like, no one's ever going to beat me up again.
Yeah.
I'm never going to have to fire this, like, you know, 1771 pistol that doesn't even work half the time. Get me the hell out of Dodge.
Oh my God.
So, okay. So, moving on. So Bree and Lord John, and like I said before, like this is just a nice little scene. She knows about Willie. She told him. Honest to God, Lord John just looks at you, like just there's a shot of him looking at Bree, and his eyes could cut glass. I'm telling you, his gaze could cut glass. It just is like he's just got like, you know, magic. Like, whatever the opposite of love rays, maybe. Whatever the opposite of death rays. Love rays. He's got love rays coming out of his eyes.
He's a magic man. Get some heart.
He looks at you like, and you're just like, God damn it. He's just.
I know.
Okay. So yeah, so this is when we find out that Ulysses is going to be his manservant and go to London with him. And the minute he gets on a British ship, he's free to go. He's all good. Okay. And that's where Lord John is like, you really are impossible not to like. And I was like, Lord John.
So are you.
You didn't know her during the awkward teen years, Lord John, but like, you know. But yeah, she should have been like right back at you, Lord John.
So are you, LJG.
Okay. So Bree watch. Oh, this is where in my second viewing I thought about the Michael Mouse thing. Bree watches Jamie with Jam, and it is just like I don't have any heart left to stab with this, but I'll try. Yeah, it's just it's heartbreaking. And that is where I remembered you know, if you should meet a mouse named Michael. Tell your granddad said hello. Oh, I should look that up because it's just so, just breaks your heart. Okay. It's dinner time and Claire is serving a pre-dinner Journeycake snack and it's peanut butter and jelly. And the reaction is just hilarious. This was just so smart to do this. Jamie, like we said, eating with a knife and fork was so damn funny. I I missed if Ian was eating with a knife and fork too. But Jamie was. And Jamie's like, okay, well, it's good, but it's also like kind of weird because you could probably like mend your boots with it too. And they're all laughing and it's all fun and whatever.
I thought it was cute, but I was kind of like, has Jamie never had a sandwich before?
It's not the sandwich, it's the peanut butter. He's never had peanut butter before.
Okay, it's still a sandwich between two pieces of bread that the Earl of Sandwich invented.
No, but it's not the sandwich. That's what he's saying. Like it's what he's not used to is the peanut butter and the gluiness of peanut butter. That's what he's talking about.
So that's why he had to cut it?
Oh, well, that's true. Good point. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they really have sandwich, like if they eat a whole lot of sandwiches back then.
I'm not, you guys, please don't think I'm picking. Like, oh my God, you're going to pick on them. I thought it was adorable that he was cutting it. It was cute. It was just cute. It added a little flavor. But I was sitting there thinking, has Jamie never had a sandwich before? It was sort of like one of these sitcoms that makes like the dad look like the complete idiot.
Yeah, that didn't cross my mind. Isn't that funny? Like, I didn't really think about, like, why are you eating? I mean, I thought it was funny that he was doing that, but it didn't cross my mind that he would never have eaten a sandwich before. Just that, like,
right.
I don't know. That's funny. Okay, so off they go. Bree, Roger, Ian, and like I said, at this point, I'm still like, no, they're gonna like turn around. You know, they're gonna change their mind or whatever. Something's gonna happen. You're like, this can't. No.
I know. I kept thinking, oh my God, they're not going. Oh my God,
of course they're not going. Of course they're not going. Like they're not supposed to go yet. Yeah. So they go this way and that way and this way and that way, just like Poldark. They arrive and they go up to the stones. And then we cut to Claire at the cabin looking at drawings that Bree had made of all of them. It's been 2 weeks.
Picture pages.
And she's very sad. And they sort of reminisce about the cabin and, it was this is where they were, this is where they built their life together on the ridge. Okay, so Bree, Roger, Ian are all at the stones. Bree and Roger and Jem are all tied together. They say their goodbyes. They've got their stones. That Jemmy is cute as a button. They're like, here, Jem, baby, hold us.
Really?
He's like, oh my God, so friggin' cute. They put their hands on.
I love his little accent. His little accent is just so cute.
It's precious. It's just precious, and like you can tell that like he doesn't say very much. And I don't know if it's because he's like 3 or because they are like, oh, he's got a wicked accent, and we can't like really have that. So just like give him a word
that's right.
or two.
I was thinking of that. Yeah, I was like, I'm sorry, you have a very thick Scottish accent, and these are all American.
It's like it's kind of
like Ulysses.
Well, I mean, I will say, like, Jemmy is kind of surrounded by Scots, so really Bree is the only one, and Claire, I guess, is the only one that doesn't have an accent. So with Roger for a father, it's believable that he'd have a little bit of a lilt too. I guess I don't know. So I loved so much the sound in this moment where you've got like the buzzing of the stones, and I think the music too is sort of swelling, if I'm recalling correctly. They put their hands on the stones, silence. And you cut to Ian looking at them, and they're just disappeared. And Ian is like, what the F? And he goes over to the stones.
I thought that really brought it home.
Yes.
That really brought it home to be Ian or anyone standing there and you don't have to go through all the fanfare.
Yes,
just done.
It was brilliant.
Like
it was it was brilliant. It was just brilliant. It was really, really effective. That piece of that sound. You don't often like have a chance to like praise the sound designer of the show, but really good. Really good. Right. Really good work by Bear McCreary today, too, because, like, at one point, I think when Claire and Bree were having a little conversation, at one point, like, Bree sees Claire and they go and they hug each other, you hear just a tiny bit of the Claire and, the Claire in the future music, and I can't hum it. I can't really,
it's like
Yes, yeah.
Very, very on a very special Brady Bunch.
You hear like a little you hear a little snippet of that, and it just was really nice and like tied everything together really nicely. Okay.
Yeah.
So poor Ian, he's trying and he can't get through, and he's just like, I can't wait to find out his story and what happened to him and why he is the way he is. And why he wants to go back and change things in his life so much. Can't wait.
Right.
I wonder if we'll find out next week. Or if we're going to have to wait till season 6. I don't know. Okay. So Roger and Bree and Jemmy land safely. And Jemmy wakes up first. Jemmy clearly can do this. This is like, your commuter flight from like, Boston to like the Cape for Jemmy. Jemmy's Jemmy's clearly like, okay, can we go back now? I'm ready. Woohoo! This is great. This is fun. Yeah. Meanwhile, Bree and Roger
can I have a goldfish now?
Bree and Roger are like, oh my god, I'm so good with you. So Jemmy's like, woohoo! And Roger, I
know for like a split second, Bree's like, I feel everything is shit. And then they're like, what?
Well, whatever they're seeing is like knocks them out of whatever trauma they are in, because clearly they're seeing something that is not right, and that is, I don't know what to think of it. All right, can we have a small spoiler now?
Sure.
Okay. Sheldon, come back. Go.
Excuse me. Spoiler alert.
Okay. Here's what I think. I alluded to this in the last spoiler. I am wondering if they are setting up season 6 to be the last season. And now this is really out there, okay?
Why?
Did Bree and Roger and Jemmy travel in the wrong direction? And are they going to sort of experience something along the lines of what Roger and Buck did in book 8? Okay. And season 6 is going to be a lot about them trying to get back somewhere. And that's how they wrap up the series. They wrap up the series by Bree and Roger coming back to 1770, whatever. Hello, the house. Boom.
We're never going to have Molly Brock? And
I
the
don't
little
know.
things
I don't
they
know.
hide,
I don't know.
Little things they hide, and them thinking that they die in a fire and all of this. I mean, oh my God.
Well, they're not going to have that anyway. Like, spoiler or no spoiler. This whole, and we can talk about that. We can talk about that, we can talk, let's go back to that, because that's that's a good point. But that's where I went with that. That's the only explanation I've got. It's the only thing I got. I really don't think that this series is going to go beyond season 6.
I always thought that too. No, I always thought like they're not going to go book for book for book up until book 9 or 10 or something. But to end with season 6, why would they do that?
I think season 6 is a good place to end, actually. I think it is. I think that there's a lot of closure in the book anyway. There's a lot of closure. There's a lot of yes, the big house burns down, but there's a lot of promise for everything's going to be better. We're going to start over. Because don't forget, the first 3 are sort of one package. The second 3 are sort of one package. I don't know if the third 3, because we haven't gotten book 9 yet, so I don't know if the book 9 and book 10, which is the final book, are going to be like one package, whatever. But you could do worse than ending on season 6. You really could. Because it kind of...
Why do they need to end? Has Starz come out and said, that's it, we're done?
I think that it is an expensive proposition. I think that Sam and Katrina probably, I don't know how long their contracts go for, but they're, look, if it keeps going, great, but the plots get a lot more convoluted. I mean, I hope they keep going.
I
We're
don't
still, and
have
we're still in a spoiler.
Jamie Fraser in my backyard. I'm in County, New Jersey. I'm gonna be pissed.
I want to see what the fandom is going to do when, you know, Lord John and Claire sleep together.
Again, thank you. I've thought of that multiple times. You see him and you're like, oh yeah, I can see that, baby. I can see it better in the show than I could in the book.
I know.
But the bottom line is, I don't really understand that. Isn't Outlander one of Starz best shows?
I think it is, but I mean,
why would they want to get rid of it if they don't have to? I mean, I don't think it's going to go to 15 seasons, but come on now, a couple more seasons.
And I mean, now you're throwing coronavirus in the mix.
Well, I definitely think it's going to be a while. It's, you know, they've already put off production for season 7. So wait,
6. They haven't done 6 yet.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
All right, I'm going to end the spoiler because I want to go back and we still have a way to go. I do want to say, because you brought it up when we were talking in the spoiler about like Bree and Roger. One reason why it's weird that they're leaving now is because the only reason Bree went back to warn Jamie and Claire about this obituary that they found.
Ready.
And that date is still to come. That date has not passed yet. So
right.
Take that for what it's worth. But I would think Bree and Roger would want to stick around to make sure that everything goes okay. And, you know.
They didn't even go there after that, really.
Mm-mm.
They mentioned it like a week or 2 ago. When Jamie was bitten by the snake, Roger was like, yeah, sorry, not happening. Like,
oh, no, well, Jamie's like, I know I'm not going to die because, you know, you guys saw him the obituary,
I die in the fire.
I die in the fire. So yeah, all right. So they land. We don't know when. We don't know where. Roger's like, "What the devil?" Tracey's like, "What the devil?" Or "What the more?" So Carol and I have no clue. Nobody has any clue what's going on because this is all new to us. This does not happen in the book. Diana must know, and maybe she'll clue us in. Who knows? All right. So the men are digging a privy. Boom! Explosion at the still. They all run off. Claire has a patient in the surgery. She's showing Marcelly how to fix a dislocated shoulder, harkening back to the days of season 1 when she had the same thing. I know. She should have been like,
"Oh my god,
oh, Marcelly,
this is how bookend.
This is how. Does Marcelly call Jamie Da still? I don't even know. This is how Da and I met. I did the very same thing to him the very first day I came back from the future.
Pop it back in. You pop it back in. But I thought, oh my god, is this bookends or something? Are we never going to have another season? What the hell's going on?
I know. Okay, so she's treating this patient, showing Marcelly how to fix it. There's a ruckus at the door. It is the Browns. And
Did you describe ruckus, sir?
And they are in fight-in mode. Marcelly, like, shoves Germaine under the bed, like, do not move. And he doesn't move, to his credit. And it's awful. Hodgepile is the guy in the sort of faux army uniform. He stabs the poor patient. The poor patient would have been like, must have been like, I'll take the dislocated shoulder. It's all good.
My God, the patient just went through all that, and now he's
they smack everybody around. They smack Marcelly out, and they put a thing over Claire, and they take her away. So, what do you think of that?
I can't really say what I think of that. It's terrifying, but I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I did go back and I read this part in A Breath of Snow and Ashes. I think I don't know. It feels to me like here they have a bit of an agenda, and the agenda is clearly something to do with the committee. That Jamie's not joining the committee, and also that Claire is this busybody that's been like, effing up everybody's life because she's gotten all the women riled up. So
right, but I think I have one thing to say about what I think of this for next week. Hashtag cliffhanger.
I disagree with that. I don't think that this is going to be. I think that this is going to be resolved, and the reason I think that this is going to be resolved is because, and this really isn't a spoiler. Somewhere along the line, Sam gave an interview to somebody and said something, and he was asked, like, what's your favorite line that you've said in the series? And his answer was something that makes me think it will be resolved. Oh, it will be resolved. How's that for a mysterious?
Do you think it's going to be resolved in a different way than it's resolved in the books?
Not if the line that Sam says in the article is the real line. No, it'll be resolved pretty much the same way.
Yes. I remember the article I saw.
Okay. All right. So you know what line I'm talking about.
Uh-huh. I saw it last week.
So the men are back. Germaine's just sort of standing there. And I was, at this point, deathly afraid. I was like, oh my God, is like trauma-itis going to come back to Germaine where all he could say is, ba, ba, ba. like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Germaine, what happened? Where's grandmama?
Bah! but no, thank goodness, Germaine did have his wits about him. He said that Mama won't wake up, and then oh my God, when Fergus was like, Germaine, what happened? And when Germaine whispers in Fergus's ear, the bad men took Grandmama.
Yeah.
Dun,
dun, dun.
And she's nowhere to be found. And then maybe the best scene in the whole episode. Honestly, this scene was kick ass. Might have been better than Windowsill and Toast combined. Jamie is, you see this in the previews too. I think that Jamie is just like running like Poldark across a big field with a torch. And you're thinking like he's, in the previews, you're thinking he's running after somebody. No, he's running for the fiery cross. And he is running to alert his posse. The time is now. I need you. Ninja Turtles assemble. Boom. And
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
And I loved that because if that doesn't happen in the book, the fiery cross in the book happens kind of the way it did in the very first episode, where he like lights it to symbolically, but they don't. I don't think they have a big fiery cross like standing in the middle of a cliff, like waiting to be lit. But they do in the show, and I loved that. I loved the symbolism of it. I loved that, like the taking of Claire is equivalent to, like this is. You thought that the militia was where Jamie was really needing all of the men to stand with him, but no, this is it. This is where he needs them more than ever. Loved it. Love.
I kept thinking about the book, and I just thought, like, when he lit that thing, I was like,
well, in
that's
the
like
book,
his battle cry.
I will tell you this: in the book, whenever it's Claire's point of view, it's the first person point of view. So when this happens, when she is taken, it doesn't leave her point of view for a long time. So you don't know what the other characters are doing. You don't know it, like when they find out she's missing, how they find out she's missing, how they might amass people to go and search for her, or whatever. You know none of it. So it is. So maybe Jamie did like the fiery cross. I mean, like that. Like Diana might say that. Like that's another thing I was thinking of with Bree and Roger. I mean, I don't want to say what happens to Bree and Roger in the books, but like in theory, we kind of don't know what happens to Bree and Roger in the books right after they go through. We don't know because nobody tells us. We just sort of know what happens after some time has passed. Let's put it that way.
So the bottom line is, now we're on the edge of our seats. And we're going to find out next week what happens.
We hope. I don't know. We don't get to see the scenes like we all do on Sunday nights when we actually watch the show.
Right. I hate that. I know. So we have to wait until Sunday to see the scenes.
I know.
So
you can watch
Tracey and I have no idea.
That's it for Journeycakes. That's it for Diana's second episode. I thought it was a really good one. I thought
it was awesome. It was DIANA GABALDON times a million, and it gave me the feels all over the place. So much stuff happened in this book, and in this episode, and some of you guys might be like, all right, it was, how much stuff happened? I can't even tell you. It was just so good. And it was so good in a way that it just reminded me of our friend Shannon's description of just like DIANA GABALDON. It doesn't matter that you've already read like 4 books before this in the series. Like, it's just like your comfy chair and your comfy, when my kids will say like, I'm going to go get snug in your jammies. Like, it's just total, this whole episode, every single thing that happened, I was like, it was so good.
Yes. It was very character driven. It was very,
it was very out.
There was definitely narrative, obviously, that happened. But it was just really about building the relationship with the characters and the parting, Their lives are not going to be the same now. Sorry, excuse me. It was great. And who better to write a character-driven episode than Diana? The one whose head these characters came out of.
Right.
Anything else?
So with that, we're going to leave you guys. We're going to say goodbye. And we're going to say, make sure to click that like button and click that subscribe button.
That is true. We always forget to say it at the opening of the episode. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tell us what you thought in the comments. The comments are just so great this season, you guys. So great. So insightful. I appreciate all of these new viewpoints that, like, you guys come up with things that I'm like, I never thought of it that way. And tell your friends. If you have friends that like Outlander, tell your friends about us, Tell them like, we got a couple kooky girls that you might want to like check out over Corona Apocalypse, and you got nothing better to do, as we say.
So anyway, you guys, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and make sure you check out the blog.
I thought you weren't supposed to call it the blog anymore.
Blog, website, whatever. MyOutlanderPurgatory.com.
If I call it the blog, I get yelled at.
And you guys, that is an Instagram.
All right, you guys. We will see you next week. Have a good one. Hang in there. Hopefully this will all be over sooner rather than later. Leave us lots of messages in the comments, and we will see you later. Bye.